Okay. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters and new and welcome guests over here. And I'm going to be doing this speech focusing on vocal variety, as John mentioned. And the speech that I prepared today is actually kind of a hybrid speech between my icebreaker, which I didn't do since I had already started. I've already completed that for another club, and then also the vocal variety speech. And so my specific thing that I'm trying to work on for my vocal variety is volume, is varying my volume, because I'll be presenting some dates kind of things in a chronological order, and that can get a little monotonous. So incorporating volume is what I'm working towards. So I'll try not to be too verbose and bore you. So with that, let's get started, and I'm going to begin, as they say in Japanese, jiko shoukai o shimasu, which is my self-introduction. Imagine a land so wild that when you go for a stroll, you can smell the air, smell that the air has passed from a glacier to a mountaintop to you. And that when you breathe in that air, you know with every part of you where it came from and how wild that air is and the land that you're on. And that's the land that I came from, that's Alaska. So I grew up in Anchorage, Alaska, and this is my story. Growing up in Alaska was a wonderful thing for me. I was really exposed to the nature, and it shaped who I am and what I do, actually. And it was, I guess I'm really grateful for the opportunity to have been there. I'm taking an environmental communications class right now. We had to write, what does wilderness mean to you? So I wrote this long speech. And in the end, I realized wilderness for me is actually what I associate with home. So people go out to the woods to get away, but I go to the woods to feel like I'm at home. So that's kind of a little bit about Alaska and what it means to me. When I was 16, I finally ventured outside of Alaska, and I did a homestay in Chiba, which is by Tokyo. I did a homestay when I was 16 in a rural community. And it was, eye-opening. I don't even know how to describe. Complete culture shock going from Alaska. And Chiba has a lot of rice paddies. There wasn't very much wildness anywhere, at least where I was. So it was farms and the little, describe it, rice paddy walkway areas. And let's see, there were no mountains. It was a big culture shock for me. But what was even more important for me in terms of shaping who I am is the fact that there was, what I saw, pollution. For the first time, I'd never noticed that when you have a lot of people packed tight into an area, that it can actually result in pollution. In this case with Chiba, there was actually garbage piled up because it was very expensive to get rid of the garbage there. So that was a huge eye-opener for me, and that's something that really shaped, again, who I am. And when I went back to Alaska, that kind of, well, one, it really inspired me to continue studying Japanese, but also it sort of planted the seed in my head about the environment. So, graduated from Service High School in 2001, and I went to Western Washington University in Bellingham. And I was pursuing Japanese as my major. I thought maybe I'd want to live there someday. And Bellingham's a wonderful place. That was another eye-opening experience for me. I'll reveal some personal details. I stopped shaving. I wore skirts. Bellingham's a pretty big hippie community. So that was wonderful for me. But then I decided I wanted to pursue Japanese. So I signed up to do a year-long exchange program in Japan. At that time, the only way to get your major was to actually live in Japan for a whole year. So pretty big commitment, but I loved Japan, so I wanted to do it. So I went to Western, and I signed up for the program, and right before, about 6 months before I was planning to head out, I fell in love. I met my husband, Luke, and sort of reaching this strange crossroads. Well, I was still planning to go, so I went to Japan, and I only made it about 6 months. I didn't make it the full year. And at that time, in that crossroads, what I did was I came back, I switched gears, I pursued environmental science instead because I really still felt that connection with the environment. And I continued to date my now husband. So just to wrap things up, just trying to kind of give you this roadmap of where I've come. I pursued my master's degree at Simon Fraser University after that. While my husband was still living in Seattle, we did long distance for 2 years. And I studied natural resource management in Canada. And I switched my focus from studying birds and insects and trees. I came to another crossroads, actually, where I started to study people and what people felt like towards the environment. And so I'll just sort of fast forward us to today. I got married, and I tried a couple different jobs. And then I ended up here at University of Washington, and now I'm studying the human dimensions of natural resource management. So that's attitudes, perceptions, values, and beliefs towards the environment. And I do still have a dream someday to go and be a visiting professor in Japan and teach environmental science in Japan. So that's kind of my whole story. And in closing, I guess I just want to say that I'm very grateful for the opportunities that I've had in my life and this weaving path that I've taken. And I'm grateful to have the chance to share this with you today. That's it. Thank you.